Hello everyone and welcome to the second episode at Live at LLIS. Today we're going to be discussing about the current affairs, and towards the end of the episode we'll be having a debate.
In the world news, former French President Nicolas Sarkozy has been released from prison after serving 3 weeks of a 5-year sentence for illegal campaign conduct. He will spend the rest of his sentence under his strict supervision at home, a reminder that even the most powerful must answer to the law. In Luxembourg, the National Health and Maternity Insurance System, CNS, is facing growing financial problems. Officials say that the budget deficit is rising quickly, and actions will be needed to keep the system stable and fair for everyone. Meanwhile, in Philippines, Super Typhoon caused serious problems this week. At least 4 people have died and more than 1 million have been forced to leave their homes. Rescue teams continue to help families recover from the storm's damage. In Formula One, the Sao Paulo Grand Prix delivered a thrilling race. Lando Norris took victory for McLaren with rookie Kimi Antonelli finishing second and Max Verstappen third after technical problems earlier. The result keeps the championship fight alive and highlights Antonelli's strong debut season.
Today, last week, a group of our students, joined by Mr. Herault, attended the 107th anniversary of the Armistice of 1918. In the presence of His Excellency Mr. Kristóf Bouchard, Ambassador of France to Luxembourg, several students from both national and international classes read short speeches which they themselves had prepared. The ceremony was held in order to commemorate the Armistice at Compiègne, which put an end to the First World War, which had lasted for 4 years and claimed millions of lives. To quote one of our students, "We pay tribute to all the victims of wars and affirm our hope for a world where peace and solidarity unite people."
Hello, I'm Kristóf, and today we are here for a debate on the topic of a new potential EU legislation to detect and try to prevent child abuse material. For the notion, today we have Pouris from S5EN2, and against the notion, we have Eric Felman from S5EN1.
Hello, I'm Frank, and I'm for scanning. Obviously, my first argument is, well, this is a good legislation to protect children, which is a vulnerable group in our society, under many rights protected and should continue to be that way. And if this is another step that could bring us towards that goal, then I think it's a positive thing.
So I actually have quite a lot of arguments against your opening argument, which I agree we should be protecting children as they are very vulnerable. But with this chatbot surveillance, let's say, we have quite a lot of problems, such as privacy invasion, which basically what happens is they're scanning private messages, and this undermines the fundamental right to privacy and confidentiality of communication.
But I mean, it's a thin line that you have to cross. I mean, when do you prioritize protection of, for example, a vulnerable group such as children over privacy? When does one become more important than the other? As well, scanning for such child abuse material in people's private devices and messages is crucial evidence for law enforcement when they do have to deal with these cases and deal with these people.
Well, I guess what you're saying is when they have these cases and when they have this evidence, but this is used when you have no evidence and is used on everybody, including you, for example. So they would check all of your messages. I would ask you, how would you feel about that? And another important point is that a lot of people that might be dealing or might be, and there's actually another problem to this. Most culprits, let's say, when they hear that this law is put into action, they could very easily go and use other forms of communication So they might self-censor themselves or avoid online communication at all of fear of being monitored. So you're basically just scanning normal people's messages.
But I mean, you're referring to this as if it's some guy manually looking at everyone's messages. I mean, this is an automation. No one's actually seeing your messages. This is purely data, ones and zeros, like AI. And I mean, manually would not be possible with, I mean, the scale of the problem, the amount of messages, the amount of devices there are in this world. And it adds a sense of responsibility on these large corporations to try and protect their users, not just their privacy, but users in a larger scale. For example, protecting children against abuse.
What do you think if such an AI was made? And do you think governments could go and use it for other purposes, such as political dissent?
I mean, I think, yeah, that could be one key problem that, you can never trust what the government might do. You never really know with these type of stuff how things could go, but it's, of course, a preventative measure. And at the end of the day, like I already said, you have to prioritize one thing over the other. Is it public safety or privacy? And here in the EU, both are incredibly important. So it comes down to which one each individual prioritizes. Maybe at the end of the day, it could be a voluntary thing. The only problem with that being, if somebody has to voluntarily opt into this, then it wouldn't really work for catching criminals.
I don't think that would work at all. There's a lot of people, like most people that would actually volunteer, or actually all people that would actually volunteer, or people that have nothing to hide.
Yeah.
But
I mean, what if you made it, what if you had a petition where you get to see, what do people prioritize? Would they rather protect these vulnerable groups, children, or would they rather have their privacy safe? And let's not forget, our privacy is every day. It's breached by corporations, breached by other people, random people you've never met. So would you rather that, do you really, at the end of the day, does it affect you that much?
I would like to give an example. It's the social credit system in China. As this is pretty similar. Let's say that one's taken a bit more to the extreme, which is actually giving you points as a citizen, but it's also a surveillance system that looks at everything you're doing. And would you be okay with such a system, with people knowing everything that you text your friends, and a lot of these things maybe actually being saved in a database?
I think personally, it's definitely a sensitive matter because, of course, nobody would like their private messages to be scanned and other people see them. But at the same time, you have to remember that this isn't complete. This isn't exactly people looking at your messages. This is automations. This is artificial intelligence, like models looking at these things. And I mean, things like this have already existed. Apple iCloud has been doing this for some years, but they did get a lot of backlash for doing it because of the things we mentioned before, because of their privacy.
Another question. What do you think about AI misinterpretation? So actually, I'm sure you did it. Sometimes you wrote some messages to your friends that could be misinterpreted. So it's actually like, let's say, an inside joke, but the AI doesn't know that. So,
I mean, yeah, that's a thing that'll come with time and with development of these models. It can't be perfect, of course, because of how you said that AI misinterpret things, they hallucinate, and there's chances that innocent people might be blamed for something they didn't do. And I think it's important that if this legislation were to come true, that we have gotten to the point where we're able to trust these models and these automations to not misinterpret these things and to be concrete and clear.
But in my opinion, AI is nowhere near close, especially on a mass surveillance base with millions and millions of people. It can do the difference between wrongful things, so let's say like inside joke, making the difference, and maybe not even actual humans could sometimes make the difference between inside jokes or people playing a prank or anything. And this leads to a lot of wrongful accusations, which I don't think would be very productive, and it leads to a lot of chaos.
Well, yeah, I think that's very valid. I think we shouldn't shy away from the subject itself. I mean, this is about protecting children. You wouldn't like anything to happen to your little brother, your little sister, your own kid. But at the same time, privacy, though it's really important, it shouldn't be used as a manner of shielding criminals and protecting them instead of them facing consequences.
I guess. So maybe don't you think there would be other better ways, such as education or other things that could lead to children being more protected? And also, when you're saying, oh, we should take these sacrifices and these things, like all of these problems about this AI new surveillance law, let's say, we should take all of these problems with it because we should care more about the protection of our children. But then we could keep going in this direction of, to be more protected, but then we'll get into limiting freedom of speech, all of these type of rights. A free society, let's say, just to make it more safe.
I think that's very thoughtful. That's true. But I mean, in a sense, yes, that's true, and I think there are definitely other ways to prevent child abuse and to catch criminals like these. But of course, this is just one way. This is just one step towards that eventual goal of having a world, a society where everyone's safe, especially vulnerable groups such as children. Where, I mean, of course, things like a better judicial system, better detecting, better education, as you said. But this is just one step towards that. I mean,
do you think these other ways to get closer to solving this problem would have, let's say, less problems or less issues?
I think some, but some are also much harder. I mean, the less problems you have, of course, the more difficult it will be to implement. But if your question is this a necessary step? Maybe not, but it is a possible one, and that's the point of this debate, to see whether it is worth it.
To conclude, I would like to say that I agree with that we have to protect children, but I do not think that this law is the right way to do it, because we're introducing a lot of other important issues, and I think we should act in another way, let's say. So
yeah, I agree with that. I think playing this game of I mean, playing with people's privacy is definitely a difficult subject. I mean, and with this new law, you're adding a lot of variables to the equation, and many people might not be happy, and I do agree there are many problems with it, but at the end of the day, this is all hypothetical, well, for now. And I think once at least the EU can get over some of these problems, find solutions for them, I think this is definitely a viable way to prevent these sort of incidents and protect children.
I mean, what I was trying to say is that the EU should be, or I think is trying at the moment, to find other ways of, let's say, reducing the risk of such events happening.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think that leaves us on a good note.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.
To conclude this episode, I'd like to thank the people who contributed to this episode, including the administration and the students who made it, and see you in the next episode.